You know what would be really funny? If you okay, if you found out that this was the second part to a two-part video and decided that even though you could just click that button in the top right corner of the frame to like watch the first part, you just watch this video anyways. We're playing Pokemon Violet and only using one Pokemon at a time. And since I have a general disdain for enjoying the media I consume, every time I obtain a badge from a gym battle, defeating a Titan, or raiding a Team Starbase, I surprise trade away the Pokemon in use. So far I've gathered 11 badges, and today we're going to be getting the rest of them. You know, if you get in that ball, it'd make it a lot easier for the both of us. I think if I had it my way, I would have liked to keep score bunting around for the remaining badges in the run. Going on. Oh, let's go! Those feelings are short-lived. Hello, friends. I made it to this section of the video to start editing, and I put the footage from this day of streaming into my Premiere timeline. And every time that this footage is in the Premiere timeline, Premiere crashes. So I figured that the best way to keep the show on the road was to basically explain everything that I was going to talk about with, I'm thinking about putting some visuals on the screen of like, I don't know, like, we'll figure it out. So the bit that happened right before this was basically me being excited about getting a Tinkatonk, because in terms of the Paldea designs, like, Tinkaton is probably, it's Tinkaton. I made some joke about Christ the King in Portugal. That was, it was lame. Oh yeah, I went to the psychic gym in Alfornada. I fought Nimona and I lost the psychic gym test, which was really fucking lame. It hosted by one of the teachers from Yuva, Dendra. She does this quick time event. Stupid. Oh, it made me so mad. I fought Tulip, the psychic gym leader, and you know that, like, you know those memes of dudes in parking lots just like talking and then they go, help me. I did that because Tulip said Slade, and I thought that was fucking cringe. I beat Tulip. I saw Rika outside the gym, and she introduced me to the next Elite Four member, who is a actual Todd, like 4 years old probably, I don't know. And then I got rid of Tinkaton. Sorry, I got rid of Tinkaton. Tinkaton's gone. And then I got to this region's Pikachu clone, Palmy. So Palmy's special because it evolves twice, and the second time it evolves you have to take 1,000 steps, which is like such a stupid metric, but also like how cool would that have been if they had that in like the Heart Gold Soul Silver days? That would have been really cool, right? You just like put it on the Pokewalker and you move around. This isn't as nearly as cool. I went to the Fire Team Starbase. You know, I was having a hard time with it. Her Torkoal was apparently really tough for me. As I am reading, I started off fighting Mela at the Team Starbase at level 27, so then I brought it up to 33, lost to 37 and lost to 40 and lost, and then this footage played. Then I beat her at 45, and then we got rid of Palmot, and now that Palmot's gone, we're actually back to the normal footage that's actually working, like usable. Doesn't make Premiere crash. God, I hate everything and everyone. My parting with Palmot had resulted in an Alolan Sandshrew, whose name you may notice has a mosaic over it. This is because this fella had its nickname changed to the name of someone's YouTube channel. While I kind of appreciate the hustle, I did end up paying a visit to their channel. Oh god, what is this? It was Rule 34 in their thumbnails. Alolan Sandslash had some pretty slim pickings for its opponent by this point, and simply due to the type matchup, it would have made the most sense to go for the Dragon Titan. But the map description of that Titan paints a picture of a hulking beast with immeasurable powers, so let's do ourselves a solid and avoid that and go for the little fairy man instead. We arrive outside the Fairy Team Starbase to find an out-of-place older man who wants to battle before we work our way in. I'm normally not one to endorse elder abuse, but I mean, this one was literally asking for it. On the other end of this star barrage is Base Boss Ortega, whose strangely organized team of Water Rabbit, Bread Dog, Balloon Rabbit, and well, yeah, the car too. Kinda had me up against the ropes, but in a very obnoxious way. Dosh Bun's Mud Slap and the Starmobile's Confused Ray either had Sandslash missing attacks or hitting itself for an insufferable amount of time. It was 3 minutes. It was a long 3 minutes. After Ortega hands over the fairy badge, Clive and the older man from outside come over to have a good old-fashioned sit-down with the boys. Come, let's have a catch. This man's name is Mr. Arrington, and he was the former director of UVA Academy before Clavel, and seems more educated on the Team Star issue as a whole. It seems he was involved to some degree with the way Team Star has evolved, but he's also Ortega's piano teacher, so it's more fun to assume that they were just gossiping about it behind the ivory keys. The members of Team Star confronted their bullies 18 months ago, resulting in a bunch of bullies dropping out of the academy, and all the documentation of that was deleted from the school records just because they kind of wanted to, which, like, what? One student from the Team Star side of things came forward and took responsibility for everything that went down and was sent abroad to study. Our post-raid check-in with Cassiopeia happens right on schedule, and they finally let us know the ultimate goal of Operation Starfall, to take down Big Boss. Well, yeah, I felt like that was kind of implied. I'm happy to be getting rid of Sandslash for no other reason than being able to stop doing mosaics every time it's on screen. A B. Stand. Well, I'm not too happy about that. Why am I not too happy about Stantler? It's a cute little thing. It's got the bushy tail, the tuning fork antlers, the evolution that you can't get in this game. I'm not asking for Monster Point Chop or anything, just some better fucking stats! Stantler is also higher level than my current level cap, so it looks like Dixon's gonna be dicking around. I think the main upside to Stantler in this context is that it does learn a good deal of useful psychic moves. Atticus's Skuntank this time around is much easier to deal with, and for as hard of a time as I've been giving Stantler, he actually took care of the rest of Donnie's team with little resistance. That doesn't mean we have to shine a spotlight on him or Atticus for much longer, though. This was a very dull chapter of the playthrough. I get the poison badge. Atticus says he's never met Big Boss before because they're a recluse. When Penny shows up to the base, she's very vocal about her feelings about Big Boss, and I get rid of Stantler. We're not always gonna get another It's Raining Somewhere Else moment, and that's fine. Most of the moments will just be mundane, and that's something you have to come to terms with. Unless you don't, and those moments start to melt together into months, or hell, even years of your life that you'll never be able to cash back in. I started writing this and I realized I've done the existential bit maybe a few too many times, so let me reel us back into the inferno of pain that is your ego! Take this cute, crafty-looking fox and kill it. That's what we got here. Sometimes Pokemon design philosophy feels like, okay, this concept, I love it, it's great. But is there anything we can do to make it cooler? That's so dope. Normal Zoroark or otherwise, this big guy has some pretty solid stats, so I think it's time to go for the badge that I've been most worried about throughout this playthrough, the Ghost Gym badge. The map description makes the gym leader there out to be quite the big shot, and worse, it mentions double battles, meaning that this lonely Zoroark is going to have to tank twice as many hits solo. That concern is mildly alleviated once we actually make it to the gym. The gym test for the Ghost Gym, as explained by MC Sledge himself, is a gauntlet of 3 double battles back-to-back. I don't want to gloss over this guy. He uses sledge as a verb. I'm gonna sledge. I'm sledging. On top of all the sledging, he mentions a rule is that you must use 2 Pokemon to qualify for a double battle. Given this information and the restrictions I have at play, I catch myself the most qualified Pokemon for the job. Hey. Hello there. Look at the refraction. It's like there's 2 of them. So scuffed, dude. Look at that. I would consider having a Magikarp as enough of a handicap. Leave me alone. The gym test battles are against a small child that can't do math, a cowgirl, ill-dressed for the weather, and finally, MC Sledge. I can battle too. I'll sledge you up real good in a double battle. You need to stop. It sounds sexual. And I am 10 years old. All childs and child predators are given a pretty good stomping. After the final battle concludes, Sledge calls to the battlefield the gym leader, Rhyme. You may have noticed by now that the battlefield is actually a performance stage, and this is because Rhyme is a rapper. And listen, I don't know who writes for these games, but if you're trying to encapsulate an entire, like, personality or culture just by shoehorning in the word yo to represent that culture, I think that's kind of fucking, it's a bit lazy. You know? Yo, yo. When it comes time to fight Rhyme, Magikarp gets taken out turn 1 to no one's surprise, and on turn 2, her Bandit lands a nasty hit on my Zoroark. I'm in a really tough spot now because in this turn I have to heal and then tank 2 hits. Shit. No. Oh, I'm so fucking dumb. No. I've got no clue why Magikarp was in my first slot, but monkey brain mashed the A button and bad things happen. It is what it is. After losing, I immediately swapped the two around in anticipation of this happening again, and once re-entering the battle, I realized I had forgotten the whole gimmick with Zoroark, illusion, which makes this scene a whole lot funnier to look at, and this transformation was actually extremely beneficial because there's no reason why Bandit shouldn't have been able to hit Magikarp with a Shadow Sneak, but when it's actually normal Ghost Hisui and Zoroark, my GOAT! The immunity is a huge lifesaver. I realize in retrospect this kind of defeats the purpose of a solo run since I directly benefited from the use of a second Pokemon, but 7 hours deep into a stream, Polydemo didn't care as much. The deception made taking out the rest of her team a breeze, and the final gym badge is now in my possession, which means no more level caps for me, baby. After the battle, Gita and Nemona are waiting to congratulate Zoroark and I and encourage that I advance to the Pokemon League to take on the Elite Four. But for the time being, I'm more interested in disbanding the group of teenagers making a ruckus outside my local Dairy Queen. As I approach the end of this run, I keep getting more and more worried that I'll get bad Pokemon against the higher level trainers, but thankfully this time around I got one of Paldea's very own starter Pokemon. And it's a shiny too. Who would be so kind to give such a thing away for free? Nobody! This is another case of self-promo on the Pokemon, whose nickname is literally just a URL. The URL takes you to a website where you can pay real-life money to get hacked-in Pokemon with anything you want. Shinies, legendaries, perfect IVs, shiny legendaries with perfect IVs. This isn't financial advice, but buying these things isn't going to make your life better. Please be smarter with your money. Once we're fully evolved into Quaquaval, I'm left with the sparse choices of going for the Fighting Team Star member, the Dragon Titan, or taking on the Elite Four. I kinda decided I didn't want to conclude any storylines before getting all the badges, and Quaquaval's move pool didn't offer much in the way of dragon extermination, so we're taking on the final Team Star member. We actually meet this member before entering the base, with her protecting the front of the base so none of her friends risk getting hurt while guarding it. Her name is Eri, and after having a run-in with Clive, which I think this might be the most he's done since we started Operation Starfall, her friend Carmen comes out and convinces her to go back inside the base so she can rest. Little does Eri know how big of a mistake that was. Carmen didn't put up much of a fight. Trust no one but yourself. Always stay grinding. By the time the Eri fight came around, Quaquaval was 5 levels higher than her team, and a couple workups, a few Moxie activations, and a terastallization made the final Team Star member look like a joke. It's also not lost on me that without a certain amount of Pokemon literacy, the last sentence makes no sense, but I still find it less confusing than trying to follow any conversation around Dota 2. Oh, dude, he got Roshan! Eri pretty happily hands over the fighting badge, but her emotions quickly 180 as she runs off crying. Carmen comes in to explain. Oh. Hello?
Hello, do you know somebody named Cassiopeia?
Yeah, no, I know them. I've been ignoring their calls recently. They were wasting my time.
They're bothering me to tell you to call them back.
Okay, but if I pick up and it's some predictable bullshit, I'm blocking their number. Cassiopeia has been so sus on the phone the whole game, it was kind of hard to not see this coming. The members of Team Star used to be Cassiopeia's closest friends, but seeing the path that they've been going down, Cassiopeia wanted to take advantage of the base raid strat to force them to disband from the inside. They want to meet up at Yuva's schoolyard after dark to put a cap on Operation Starfall. But with this revelation, I might have an inkling as to their true identity. Yeah, it's probably fucking Penny. Who else is it gonna be but Penny? With all but one badge out of the way, I now take on the Pokemon that will be representing my efforts against the Dragon Titan. I'm gaining my final badge. Who gave me a... Ooh. That might not be it. 2 reasons why this isn't the pull I wanted. 1, for the 2nd time in a row, I got a hacked-in Pokemon with a website set as its nickname. And I would like to re-emphasize, the money that you would spend on shit like this could be better spent on, like, food? That you could, like, put in your mouth to, like, fuel your body? 2, Ghastly evolves into Haunter at level 25, and Haunter evolves into Gengar at level... Get some friends, loser! What's super lame, too, is that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, the Pokemon game that came out right before this one, has an item called a linking cord that allows you to evolve Pokemon like Haunter that need to be traded to evolve. It's not in this game, and to the Game Freak dev that thought that that was a good idea, you made my wildly inconvenient gimmick run slightly more inconvenient, and for that I hope your trousers be ever soiled. This was basically my long-winded way of saying that we're going to be rocking a Haunter going into the Dragon Titan. I arrive at the area marked off on the map, very confused to only find an island full of land-bound fish, all shouting different phrases at you. Tai Tai! Sutan! and the rice bet is 50 and I'll let you skewer me for $1.25. Eventually, I cross paths with the correct Tatsugiri, who is immediately scooped up by the Dragon Titan. Even though the duration of this battle was only 2 turns, Haunter the Ghost had a really bad near-death experience. Dragon Titan Dondozo runs away like the others to get some of that Spanish grass, but a Tatsugiri forgot to clean the downstem and is eaten in retaliation. Round 2 against this guy is a bit rocky as well, but I've got the power of artificial IVs on my side, so there's really nothing to worry about. I mean, like, this video wouldn't be much longer if I couldn't take this thing down. Christ, if I missed... Little guy made its way out of the big guy's stomach to end up being the bulkiest of all the Titans. I genuinely thought this was going to be a joke fight at first, but this Tatsugiri had us up against the ropes pretty much the whole time before we took it out. After finishing up the battle, Arven takes hold of the final
Herba Mística.
And in a very touching moment, we see Mabastiff back at full health, and this shot may be the cutest thing of the whole game. Also the badge, Arven gave us the final Titan badge, but also... Surprisingly, after this interaction, Turo gives me a call while Arven, his son, is in the room for once. He wants Arven and I to go to the lab he had set up at the warehouse where Nimona and I first met Arven. He doesn't give any additional information as to why we're doing this, but that he'll call back when we arrive. At long last, the final badge has been acquired, which means now I get to pick what storyline I'll be wrapping up first, and I'm hoping that whoever Haunter's replacement is going to help inform that decision. What did that... Is it good? It's level 56. After taking the time to look at Hisui and Braviary stats, I was beginning to wish I hadn't. This wasn't a pull that I felt overly confident in this late into the game, so I took this as a sign to go for the plot I perceived as the least threatening. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see why I don't just try out this Team Star bullshit. Okay, I pull up to Yuva Academy. If you're wondering why Starfall Street seems the least threatening, I would like to remind you of the character designs presented. Cassiopeia had requested that we meet them at Yuva's schoolyard, and I work my way over to the campus, and who else is waiting for me but Clive? You know Clive. In the real world, a lot of people would question the motives of you dressing like that. Allow me to reveal my true identity. Haha. That's crazy. Okay, well, on the bright side, I don't think anyone's questioning anything anymore.
No way Clive was Clavel!
Young Polydemo here is more surprised than anyone else. He also claims ownership of the Cassiopeia name, which if he did befriend all these kids and convince them to band together and commit organized crime to stand up to the man, part of me thinks that's kind of trill. But also, before I'm given a chance to question his logic, we're already battling, going up against his Hosh-Posh team. On my first attempt, I actually only made it past his first Pokemon, an Oranguru, and thought I didn't have to feel any shame in looking up the rest of his team to be properly prepared for the fight so I don't waste countless hours of my life trying to outsmart a teapot. From Hisui and Braviary's move pool, Shadow Ball seemed like a nice thing to have, so I snatched that, got it up to level 70, and set up my very first picnic, which apparently was a mechanic the whole time that I had no idea about. I made a sandwich truly unlike anything you've ever seen before, and gathered my Pokemon around to tell a story that I think is funny and couldn't find anywhere else to insert. Okay, picture this. You're me. Well, you don't really want to pay full price for a game that you're thinking you're not gonna like, so you go on Kijiji and start digging around for deals. You find an ad for a copy of Pokemon Violet for $50. You meet up with a stranger outside of a Tim's who's garbed with a black t-shirt, gray shorts, face mask, sunglasses, and slides exposing some puppies that were causing a real commotion. The trade ensues, and you notice the copy of Pokemon Violet you've just received has a PEGI rating on the corner instead of an ESRB. You've just been given your first European video game ever. You flip to the back side of the case to read Le monde ouvert plein de vivos étombes and realize that you hadn't bought a copy of Pokemon Violet, but instead, Pokemon Violet. Alright, today we read the Clive dialogue. Sup, Polly? Allow me to reveal my true identity. Haha.
What? No, ain't no way.
I did have to grind up to level 75 and spam Calm Mind at the beginning of the battle, but after a few attempts I managed to take out Clavel's team, one-shotting his whole team once my special attack was maxed out. Clive spills that he isn't Cassiopeia, which isn't really much of a surprise. He just wanted to test my skill to make sure that I was fit to take on Team Star's leader, and considering that I protected her with a level 15 Nimble, I think I've been a fit for a while. This must be quite a shock for you. She still doesn't really explain why she wanted to abolish Team Star, but admits that part of her wants it to live on and won't let me win without putting up a fight. See you on the GN. Sorry about it.
Oh, she's mad. Oh, she angry.
It was easier than the Clavel fight. Honestly, The outcome of Penny's reveal and defeat don't interest me a crazy amount, and because of that I don't intend to spend much more time regurgitating what happens after her defeat. We are shown the moment where Penny offers to take the blame for the big bully confrontation of 87, followed by all the leaders finally meeting Penny face to face for the first time. Clavel apologizes on behalf of the school for all the bullying they had to endure, but because of their actions following, they will have to be a part of a community service program that allows other people to learn from Team Star's creative battle tactics. Like the one where they were doing donuts on my Pikachu's face. The Team Star bosses and Penny effectively make it off scot-free and become teachers, and Starfall Street is complete. At this point, a friend of mine actually let me know that you're only able to wrap up the Path of Legends storyline once Starfall Street and Victory Road have been completed, so whoever replaces Hisuian Braviary will be helping me charge my way through the Paldean Elite Four. Oh no. No. I don't know what Japanese player got a Bonsly up to level 61, but thank you for saving me the grinding, because this could have ended up being my 13th reason. I'm being dramatic. Sudowoodo isn't the worst thing I could have gotten. Could have been a Feebas or something, and boy, if that's my final Pokemon, I'll be pretty upset. I'm just kidding, I'm not that lame. So I pull up to the Pokemon League, and upon arrival, I'm told that I'm able to advance to the interview room, which I found odd at first, but it makes sense for a place like the Pokemon League to expect a 10-year-old to have 15 years of experience. No, sorry, I forgot to mention that this is the chapter in the video where I do a normie non-joke speed run. I'm met by Rika, but with glasses, once entering the interview room, to answer a series of questions, basically questioning my knowledge of the region and my intentions as a Pokemon trainer. Which I failed. When asked what I would do after becoming champion, I said I'd fight Nemona, because if the narrative has taught me anything, it's that I should be thinking about battling Nemona. That is my goal, my muse, my aspiration. She is the end, waiting for me. Any corner I turn, Nemona. Any street I wander, Nemona. Any Pokemon I befriend, Nemona. I try again and get things right this time and advance to the real meat of the champion assessment. The first fight ends up being against Rika herself, who has a team of ground-type Pokemon. The first of which is Water Ground, and Muddy Water's Sudowoodo out of existence. Sudowoodo ends up being another one of those, you just have to put a few more levels on it and hope for the best kind of Pokemon. I started at level 71, then tried again at 85, then finally ended up at 90 before I saw any real momentum in the battles, which, when compared to the average levels of these trainers, having to be that high level feels really bad. Even with the 30 plus levels I had on Rika's team, it was still a hard-fought battle, but after taking out her Whiscash and Donphan, the fight was smooth sailing. On to the Elite Four's number 2, Poppy the Child. Oh, this might kill me. This might kill. Oh, God. Easy peasy, baby. Easy peasy. Member number 3 is a returning trainer, Larry. I don't feel any joy in fighting him because he makes it crystal clear that he has no interest in fighting, and that translates into his battle too, because he was, no contest, the easiest of everyone. He uses flying-type Pokemon this time, and it turns out that birds don't like it when you start smacking them around with cold fists. Last up is Hassel, who shows a very serious demeanor going into this fight. He's got a dragon team to match his intensity, but still manages to have a Pokemon with the goofiest attack animation I've ever seen. Once he's defeated, Rika directs us to the roof, where we will find the champion of the Pokemon League, Gita, and engage in a moonlit battle. This battle was going really well for me. I had a big boost of confidence after clearing out the Elite Four with my low-level play, but high-level Sudowoodo. Espatha, Veluza, King Gambit, and Go-Go collectively put up an okay fight, but didn't pose too much of a challenge overall. I steamrolled them and moved towards Gita's final Pokemon, Glimmora, feeling more sure of Sudowoodo than ever. Oh my fucking lord. Wow, okay. That freaked me out. Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, do it again. Oh, wow. This Glimmora, no matter how much I stalled with potions, would not use anything other than Earth Power, which put us on death's door every time. I decided to count my losses and take a second to figure out how I wanted to proceed. Unfortunately, with it already being level 92, grinding Sudowoodo anymore wasn't really a viable option to getting around this. So my solution to this, and it may be kind of lame, but doing Terra Raids gave me a lot of sellable materials that gave me more money than I knew what to do with, so I bought a shit ton of X special defenses. I go back into the fight and pop a bunch of them right at the beginning, and once Glimmora comes out, nothing can stop me anymore, baby. In the presence of Gita and the rest of the Elite Four, I'm bestowed with the title of champion, and I'm taken outside to meet none other than Nemona. You know, this might be the first time I'm actually excited to fight her. Maybe it's because I know it'll be my last, or maybe because I've actually developed some sense of a rivalry with her, but I think I'm finally ready to show her what I'm made of. Flower trick. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh, GN, you're fucking trash. That was a crit, you're trash. Just in case. Just in case. Ooh. Dude, calm the fuck down. Why do you keep critting? I'm smoking penis and balls right now. It will always result in a critical hit unless the target has battle armor or shell armor. What? It makes sense that Nemona would be the sort of true final opponent at the end of Victory Road, and her power should reflect that. All I'm seeing reflected here is a sign, and the sign speaks the truth. I don't know what I meant when I wrote that. Please help me. Of course, in our last interaction, Nemona went out of her way to make my life worse, as she always does. I'm so tired of the constant humiliation, the battling, the phone calls, the stalking, the encouragement to invest in my future. If I wanted to invest in my future, I wouldn't have enrolled in an educational facility! Similarly with Gita, I caved and lost the battle and tried again, this time popping a bunch of X attacks. Because if she gets to be lame, then I'll be lame all the same. After our victory, Nemona is ecstatic, and all the onlookers cheer, "Wow, Polydemo, we love you. You were right about Nemona. She should be promptly ostracized from our community." And with that, Victory Road is complete, leaving only one storyline left to tackle. To take us over the finish line will be a Pokemon that will be faced with the most difficult trials this game has to offer. Pokemon that will no doubt have to single-handedly take on an onslaught of foes and come out on the other side as the undisputed champion. Obviously, the reaction is a little dramatic, but can you blame me when this was my second pull? Tauros doesn't inspire much hope in me this late in the game, so I spent, no exaggeration, 4 hours and 43 minutes grinding. Just grinding. I got Tauros up from level 1 to level 90. Don't ask me if I'm okay, I can't remember. What I do remember is Professor Turo telling Arvin and I to meet at the Lighthouse Lab. Roulette time. Whoa, green! What does green mean? Green means the ending part of this game here is really story dense and really fucking boring. So I'm going to be skipping over a lot of stuff. What do you need to know? Arvin's dad is stuck in a giant crater in the middle of the region that is full of robots. No, you need more than that. The robots are Pokemon from the future because Arvin's dad has been researching time travel. You need more than that. Okay, Nemona and Penny are recruited to join us as we go into Area 0, which is the name of the crater that Turo is in because he needs the book that Arvin has been researching the Herba Mystica in for some reason, and everyone jumps into the crater on Miraidon's back, but it gets scared once they land and hides in its Pokeball, which is weird, but it's not as weird as Area 0. There's this constant fog that lines the higher areas of it, so you can't see out of it, but there's a surprising amount of light that gets through the fog, which also gives visibility on some of the research stations along the way to the Zero Lab, but you can't just go straight there. You have to stop by each of the research stations because they actually need to have locks deactivated inside, otherwise you'll be locked out of the Zero Lab once you get there, and boy do you not want to have to backtrack in this area. It is riddled with all kinds of robotic Pokemon. Hariyama, Delibird, Hydreigon, it's rough out there, but once you do arrive at the Zero Lab, that's when the drama starts, because get this, there's another Miraidon, and our Miraidon is scared shitless of this thing. But once the doors to the lab open up, it heads inside and sends out behind it a bunch of robotic Pokemon that our team has to fight. But partway through the battle, Arvin gives me the "I'm a hero" spiel and wants to fight off the rest of them while me and Miraidon head inside the lab where we find Turo asleep, but not like human asleep, more like a computer, which ends up making sense because it isn't actually Turo, it's just an AI-powered robot that he made of himself. That's the only version of him anymore because the real Turo died in an accident protecting our Miraidon from presumably the other Miraidon, and the reason he wanted us to come down here is because the time machine that the original Turo made is constantly running, allowing more and more robotic Pokemon to enter the current day, which could end up causing many people to get hurt if they all managed to make it out of Area 0, like that one robotic Donphan that Gyarados and I fought off in the desert, and the only way to deactivate the time machine is with the ecology book that Arvin had, which is actually a key that can be used to shut the lab down. But when Turo was alive, he really didn't want anyone to mess with his plans, so if anyone does try to turn off the time machine, AI Turo is programmed to attack them and they must beat him in battle or else the time machine will remain on, continuing to put Paldea at further risk. That was with skipping over a lot of stuff. I'm not intimidated by this man. I think he just looks kind of funny. Let's check in with Tauros. I haven't talked about him in 618 words. To save myself the bother of potentially having to do this fight again, I pumped Tauros full of X special defenses. And yes, again, really lame, but I would like to remind you, again, right before this, 4 hours in the mines. Tauros sweeps AI Turo's team just in time for Arven, Penny, and Nimona to get locked in this kaleidoscope chamber we've been duking it out in. It looks like there was another layer of security past AI Turo that locks any Pokeballs that are not linked to Turo's trainer ID. I'm not the most financially literate guy, but I feel like there's a joke here somewhere about like banks and China somehow. I'll let you figure that one out. AI Turo is taken over by what is called the Paradise Protection Protocol, and the opposing Miraidon is released from Turo's hand. Our Miraidon transforms into its battle form, and when you start to see the signs of a scripted battle come along, such as surviving an attack with 1 HP and getting a stat boost all across the board, I don't know about you, but for me, the A button starts to look like a mountain of mosquitoes that I want to relentlessly massacre. The opposing Miraidon gets hit with one last big terastallized attack, which leads to AI Turo being brought back to its normal, pre-security measures self. Apparently, the time machine can't be completely shut down while AI Turo remains at this point in time, so it needs to go back to the future to leave current-day Paldea at peace. It also expresses jealousy of the free will we displayed and wants to find some of that itself. We're so cooked, man. Finally, it also apologizes to Arven for not telling him sooner about his father's death, but because it knows the real Turo's thoughts and feelings better than anyone, it assures Arven that he loved him. It then activates the time machine and is taken away to a time far beyond the present. Our crew leaves the lab and I probably can't play the credit song because it's copyrighted, but I was dying when I started hearing Ed Sheeran being pumped directly into my eardrums. I figured this would have been where the game ends. But after the credits roll, we're brought back to the Yuva Academy dorms where myself, Arven, Nimona, and Penny are all called to Clavel's office. Clavel gathered us to congratulate us on a treasure hunt well executed. I know how we should celebrate. We should hold a Pokemon battle. She's so annoying. Classic Nimona. It seems that Gita was itching to get this idea implemented too, because she barges into the room to co-sign Nimona's thought and offers to be part of the competition if I help her out with her champion duties as a champion myself. These responsibilities are to inspect the Paldean gyms and make sure that the gym leaders are keeping up to snuff to the standards the Pokemon League sets. It's just so easy. It's like a content farming machine. I'll just do what I did, but again. I need to switch it up though. This time I need okay, this time, instead of tricking out the Pokemon I get from a surprise trade, I use it as it was traded to me? I can see the title and thumbnail now. I need to hop on this magnificent idea. Yeah, no, that sucked. That was it was a stupid idea. I don't even like this game. Pokemon Violet's a 3 out of 10 for me, man.